بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Welcome to tonight's session. I wanted to talk to you about reliance and the feeling of safety. Very often we're thinking about reliance and really what we're thinking about, the feeling of safety, the feeling of trust. And it is like there are so many verses about this that we can talk about, but the one that came to mind was mostly to do with like trials and tribulations, because very often what we have is that we have we're challenged in our reliance upon Allah at the time of trial and tribulation, where everything is fine, where everything is great, and we feel as though yes, we have reliance and it's all great. And that's not the time that you need it. In fact, you're always in need of it. But the key is that when we are in a state of need, the most need, that's the time that you need that reliance and that feeling of safety. So in Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, talking about Al-Aziz and his wife and the purchasing of Yusuf alayhi salam. So if you imagine, like Yusuf alayhi salam, he's in the worst of situations. The situation that he's in is that he is being sold as a slave. Right? He's been sold into slavery because this is his siblings. They threw him into the well, and obviously they've forsaken him, and he's in the worst of states. His father is not there to protect him or help him, but Allah is there. And so Allah says about this subject, Allah says, talking about the purchase that happened, وَقَالَ الَّذِي اشْتَرَاهُ مِن مِصْرَ. Like Allah says, as for those who bought him in Misr, in Egypt, it was Aziz. He said to his wife, "Akrimi, be good to him. Be good to him. Akrimi mathwahu. Be good to him. Give him like a comfortable and easy place. Like asa and yanfa'na. Like perhaps he's going to be of benefit to us. And if he's not, أو نتخذه ولدا, or we'll take him as a child, right?" And Allah says about this, the process of being sold into slavery. So I want you to imagine this. Like you're being sold into slavery, like all your rights are taken. You don't have ownership of your own self. Like you have to answer to someone else. Allah says about this, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُف. Like this, we established Yusuf fil ard. Like we established Yusuf upon the earth, right? And this is the thing, like this is a state of, take this to your life right now. Any given situation where you feel as though you're being challenged, you feel as though, it's really difficult. Or take it to any difficult situation or period that you've had in your life, and you feel as though it's very, very difficult. And in that time, when we feel as though we're being tried the most, when we feel as though we're being tried the most, when we feel as though it's unbearable, like Allah says about this very same situation, and I want you to understand the process, because what I'm talking to you about is the actual process itself. What is the process of, reliance and trust in Allah, like feeling security and safety? What is the process? Because processes create results, right? If you are like to understand process is like the factory that produces the end product, right? Whatever the end product is, like I love talking business. So the end product, whatever the end product is that comes out of the factory, the process that it goes through, the manufacturing process, the making process, it produces the end. If you change the process, the end result changes, right? So I want you to imagine your life is the fruits of process. Like the events that happen in your life is the factory of your life, right? And it's the factory of your life, and you're taken through this process to come out at the end, and the end result is like something amazing, right? But here's the thing about this. The end result is only something amazing for what we talked about in yesterday's session, which is قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Like the believers are the ones who are successful. So the end result's only, the only one that has the best end result is the one that has the beliefs, right? And we're going to talk a bit more about this now, because we have a problem in our beliefs. And a lot of times when we're tested, we're feeling as though we're in a trial, we're feeling as though it is really difficult, then what we do is that we throw the process out the window. We don't even adhere to the process. We don't even think about the process. We don't even think about what is it that we could do right now like solution focus. If you're one of the coaches, if you're one of my clients, you know what I'm talking about. Solution focus, like we don't think about the solution focus and what the process is that will actually get us the results that we want. So Allah says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا يُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Like this is how we established Yusuf on the earth. So that process of being sold into slavery, that process of being thrown in the well by his siblings, like his, you imagine your family throw you in the well, right? Imagine the people that are closest to you, that are meant to care for you, love you, they're the ones that throw you into the well. And Allah says about that, كذلك, like it is like this. This is the process by which we established Yusuf upon the earth, right? And Allah says, لِنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, like so that we could teach him the skill set, like this skill set that Allah taught him was something that he used later in the story. We see in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam that he used this skill set later in his life. But Allah, and that skill set was the very skill set that actually gave him the power that he attained in the end, because he became like someone very, very powerful in Egypt. And the skill set that he gained through this process, through this trial, right? Through this process was the thing that actually got him to the position of power and strength and success in his life. And it wasn't this skill set that gave him the success, but it is what he did in the process, not the skill set. And I want you to understand that. The skill set that you gain as you go through the process of life, that skill set, Allah is preparing you for a different phase in your life. That different phase in your life, when you come to that phase in your life, you're going to need this skill set. And the thing about this skill set is that you're not going to know until that time comes why you need it, when you need it, how you need it, what you'll use it for. You're not going to know. But what you certainly know for sure is that, when you go through the process of life, the different challenges, the climates of life, like what happens is that you're in the making. I want you to imagine your life is in the making. Now, if you want to be successful in that making, it goes back to what we said yesterday, like your belief will make you successful. But what you believe will actually create the results that you want. And here's the thing about this. Allah says immediately after this, Wallahu ghalibun ala amri. Allah is, the ghalib is the one who is all powerful, like dominates, right? Allah says, Allah is the one who dominates his affairs, right? And the worst thing about this is, وَأَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ and وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And the majority of people do not understand, do not know. يَعْلَمُونَ is like they don't have the knowledge, they don't understand this, right? So if you imagine, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting you through the process of your life, right? You're going from here to over here, and you've got to climb that mountain. It's the mountain of life, or it's the factory through which you will go through. It's the making of you, right? If you are not willing to go through the making of you, and you're not willing to trust Allah and not be of those people that He says that mentions at the end, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Most of them they don't know. Most of them they don't understand, right? But you do understand, because we're talking about the process. You and I, because we are willing to believe, we get to know and understand. And because we get to know and understand, then we get to understand that this entire journey of ours, like it fluctuates, right? And at every point, what we need is that we need that trust and reliance. You've got to trust in Allah. What is trust in Allah? You've got to believe in the promise of Allah. You've got to believe in the possibility of the solution. You've got to believe that what you will believe in will come to fruition in your life. And when you're willing to believe in it, and it's all about the willingness to do this, when you're willing to believe in it, you will make it happen. It will happen in your life because you were willing to believe. Now, here's the thing about this life of ours. Like, it is a process. Like, you will go through your life, and you will experience the different challenges of your life. And at every point, you're going to need a skill set. Like right now, as I'm up leveling in my life, like I'm being taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the experiences of my life, I'm being taught a new skill set. And so are you. At the point where you are in your life, you are being taught a new skill set. I mean, here, look, I'm sharing this with you here. This is a part of your skill set, right? So you're being taught a new skill set. But, you know, like Allah said, most of them, they don't know. But you do know, right? Because we're talking about it right now. This is knowledge, right? But it is useless knowledge unless you practice it, apply it, use it, and actually do the belief work that is required. The most fundamental of that belief work is that believing that there is a solution, believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you what you're after, and believing it to the point that you're willing to pursue, right? And here's the main thing about what, you know, this series that I'm you know, teaching and sharing with you. The main thing about this is to drive you. Now, motivation is an emotion, it's a drive, right? And what I want for this is I want you to actually be driven by your beliefs, driven by your knowledge, driven by your conviction in believing and pursuing what you cannot yet see, what you don't yet know. You can't see what's at the end of the, you know, at the end of the conveyor belt, right? You're on this conveyor belt, you're in this factory, you're going through the process of life, you're growing, you're developing, and you can't yet see what's at the end. But for you to enjoy the entire journey, you've got to be willing to believe that the end is there, even though you can't see it. That requires belief. That requires trust, and trust is belief, right? In the simplest ways to understand, trust is belief, and the more you are willing to believe, the more you're willing to trust. Now, it's a choice, right? And you see here in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, like, I mean, so many of the stories of the Quran, but specifically in this story, you know, he's being sold into, like, he's being sold. Can you imagine someone selling you, right? You're being sold, and you have no say in that. You have no control over that. And Allah says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Like, this is how we established Yusuf alayhi salam. Because Allah taught him a skill set through this entire experience of this. And, you know, Aziz said to his wife, you know, Akrimi mathwah, like, make comfortable his home, right? So you imagine Allah took him from slavery and put him into the house of power, right? He was not to know that. He didn't know what he was about to face, right? And even the trials that he faced later on in his youth, as he grew up, those trials he didn't know anything about. But what was for sure is that we don't know the process. We don't understand everything about life that there is to understand. And in those moments, the most important thing that we could have and utilize is that trust and belief in Allah. Because when you're willing to do that, and you're willing to believe in the future, you're willing to believe in this, you know, the end of the road, then you're willing to see your beliefs. They're not going to benefit you at the end. They're actually going to benefit you today. When you're willing to do that today and every day, then what's going to happen is that you become of the people that Allah talked about, you know, like mu'minun, they become the successful ones. And why do you become successful? Because you were willing to do the belief, right? And it is really foundational, but it is, you know, at every level of your growth, you're going to need it. Like right now, you know, I'm at this phase in my life where, you know, I've been doing this work for a while, and I understand and I recognize the importance and the you know, the mas'uliyah, the responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me with this, and I feel the weight of it at times. Hence why, like, I do stuff like this. And the thing is, if I felt as though it were work and it was, you know, burden and it was trouble, and believe me, like, you know, you know this from your own life experience. It does not matter what phase of your life you're in. Even when things are good, you have challenges, right? Even when things are challenging, there are things that are good, right? So the thing is, as you go through this journey of your life, and you in the making, like, you got to enjoy the daily life. You've got to, like, embrace the daily journey. Like, this is the making, but this is the best part, because when you get to the end, you transition and you go into like a different level. There is no test after, right? But this testing that we have to experience in this phase of our lives, like, it is not a test to actually obliterate you, but it is test that raises you in your rank, it skills you up, gives you knowledge and understanding, and whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yufaqihum fid din, like Allah gives them fiqh ad-din, like understanding of this deen. And the most important thing is that if you want to attain the success that you want, if you want to feel safe and secure in your life as you go through this journey of yours, like you need to have belief and you need to understand the process. Like I'm hoping, like by using this example of Yusuf alayhi salam being sold in slavery and Allah saying, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ, like this process was what gave Yusuf this power, this position of power in this earth. This is it. And I want you to look at every challenge that you've got going forward now. And I want you to look where the process is and understand and be willing to believe and see what you can't see with your naked eye, right? Like what your heart should be able to see what your eyes can't see, right? Because belief is something that it's a seeing of the heart. It's not a seeing of the eye, because you can't see it with the eye. But once you are willing to see it with your heart, then you will see it with your eye. It's so powerful, you cannot yet imagine until you are willing to believe. Inshallah, we're going to leave it on that, and we're going to continue this series. And I'm fluctuating on the times, but we're going to continue this. And I'm going to put these out for you to actually really. This is information that you want to sit with. You want to go over it many times so that you understand it, so that you know that it is not just information. We are not people of information. We're people of belief. If you want to succeed, you have to be people of belief, not information. And to do that, you've got to take this information and you've got to regurgitate it and recycle it in your mind and believe it in your heart. And when you do, you will create the results that you're after. Inshallah. We're going to leave it now. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.